Now let's begin with a quiz to see how much O-level content you still remember. Okay, what does the stomach digest? Quite easy, right? Just one word answer. Jian says protein. Okay, who agrees? Raise hand. Okay, I see most people. Okay, good. That is correct in O-level syllabus. It's proteins. Okay, but if you research, right, there's also gastric lipase secreted in the stomach. You know, I didn't know this until 2 years ago. So apparently the stomach digests fats also. You've been lied to your whole lives. Okay, unfortunate. But let's go on. Second quiz question. Where does absorption of nutrients occur? In digestive tract. Small intestine? Correct, 100% correct in O-levels. Okay, that's the answer. Who thinks that there's another place, raise hand, that there's the absorption? Do you think there's any other place that we absorb? No? Nobody is brave enough to? There is. Okay, there is. So it's large intestine also. It not only absorbs water, but it also absorbs mineral salts, vitamins, fatty acids. Basically nutrients, right? So you're like, huh? What? They scammed us in O-levels? Okay, so they didn't tell you the full thing because they're trying to be nice and reduce the content. But what's the moral of the story? Is that don't blindly accept things. There's always more to science, and question our assumptions. Don't just accept what the textbooks say. Okay, and in fact, right, the textbook, you might have recognized this if you are seniors, but for those of you, this batch is the pink color one, right? Because they updated the textbook. And why? Is because they used to say in the old textbook and old syllabus, lactic acid results in muscular pain and fatigue. And new research has come out to say that this might not be true. So they basically were teaching something false. Okay, so they took it out of the syllabus and took it out of the textbook. So why am I showing you all this, right? It's because we need to understand science is about questioning things, testing things, and seeking the evidence. It's not about, okay, blindly accept teachers say that one. I think most of you were in my tuition because you hated, like, in school, they just say, oh, because it's like that. And like, but why? Like that. Just read the textbook, it's just like that. So I think y'all don't like that. You want to understand things properly, right? And that's what science is about, so very good. I like the attitude of yours. And it's just like updating my TBT notes. Like every few days I'll update something. I have like a typo or like a keyword is wrong, I'll replace it with a better one. Oh, that's outdated. I'll ask some MOE teacher, is this outdated? Then you say, yeah, it's outdated. Then I'll remove. So science is always updating, just like our notes, always updating. Okay, so you're being taught a scam in bio, and that's why I'm having this talk, okay? Because you're being scammed about something throughout all the way to university level. And if I didn't tell you this other perspective, I would have failed you as an educator. Okay, so drum roll, what is the scam, all right? Drum roll, please. It is this, the theory of evolution. Okay, I'm going to show you what it's about, why I think that I don't believe it's true, even though it's a widely accepted thing, okay? So, wait, what is the theory of evolution in the first place? You can see, right, there's an ape, then eventually it changes, evolves into a human. And so it says that more complex organisms, they will evolve from less complex ones. So let's like rewind time, right? Now we got human, okay, this cool guy. So last time, it was apes, monkeys. So we descended from common ancestor with monkeys. And then monkeys came from smaller animals. Smaller animals came from fish. So somehow out of the ocean, the fish can come out and then crawl on land and then be able to breathe the air. And then, where did the fish come from? Smaller things, right? Where did the smaller things come from? Single-cell organism like bacteria. Where did these guys come from? Viruses, which are so simple that you can't even call this alive. Okay, so this batch, 2024, you all learned viruses already, right? And the structure. And is it a living thing? No, you already learned it's not. Okay, so where did the virus come from then, right? It must come from even simpler things. So that's another assumption that evolution will teach you. It says that life comes from non-living chemicals, like this. So last time, when the Earth was full of no life, it's just random chemicals in the ocean. Then based on lucky reactions, it can form some bonds, and then we got bigger molecules. Then these bigger molecules, right, very luckily just come into some kind of membrane and then form like this kind of weird cell, okay, which maybe was like a virus. And then eventually it evolves into all the other stuff. Okay, that's what it teaches you. Okay, and later we'll see, does that really make sense? So evolution also requires a process which you have learned in syllabus, natural selection. Okay, and I saw that in the Slido poll, a lot of you clicked it's true. So this one, what's the memory shortcut? Yes, VAST, very good. Okay, thank you. So it stands for VAST, okay, that's the 4 letters. So now to recap, because I think some of you pressed delete in your brain already, right, after O-levels. So let's say you walk into this area in maybe in Africa, okay? And then you see, wow, so nice, got giraffes in this area. Now they have variation, V is for variation. Some have long necks, some have shorter necks. So what do you think these guys will do? They'll try to eat the food, but they cannot reach, so they will starve and then they'll die. But these guys, they can reach, right? So they're happy, they live, and they survive and reproduce. So then their children, will they be long neck or short neck? Their children, probably long, right? Yeah, so most of the children will be long neck, they will also survive. Some will be like these guys, it's okay, they will die also. So eventually you come back 3 years later, maybe you go holiday, or you come back 5 years later, right? What will you see? That area will be full of long necks giraffes now. Okay, so that's natural selection. It's legit, we can test it, it's 100% true. Antibiotic resistance is a legit example. Okay, it's for sure scientific and testable. But this one, the theory of evolution, right? When I was in Sec 3, I took Bio RA, Raffles Academy. So what that is like, basically, if you want a more challenge to a subject, then they will replace your subject, right, with this Raffles Academy subject. So it's like more advanced, it's harder. Then my teacher, right, one time was talking about evolution, and then she said, the law of evolution, the law. Then I was like, but on YouTube, right, and if you go Google, you always hear theory, you won't hear law of evolution. So I was like, I asked the teacher after class, like, isn't it theory? Then she was like, no, it's law. Then I'm like, but if you search, it's theory, right? Then it's like, no, it's law. So, I mean, she was wrong, because if you search online, it's always theory. Okay, why is it a theory? Because no one has taken a video of this happening. It's all guessing about the past. Scientists are just guessing what happened about the past. No one was there to record this. No one was there to video camera, like, this is the bacteria, you see. And then now you can see it's become this weird fish. Oh, look, the fish has now like gone onto land. No one has that. It's just speculation and theory. And it makes a lot of sense. That's why it's widely accepted. Okay, so now I'm going to give you another perspective. 3 arguments on why this theory may not make that much logical sense. So we'll put it to the test. Okay, and these are 3 arguments. I'll go through them soon. Okay, first we need to give it a chance, right? Give the theory a chance. Like, how does it even work? It always says that mutations, mistakes in the DNA will lead to changes, and that's how evolution works. It's based on mutations. Okay, so let's say you are a chef, okay, and your job is to work in this restaurant. This restaurant is horrible. It's so chaotic, right, that every time you want to make a dish, you need to copy out the original recipe onto your own paper. Because soon, right, the previous one will get destroyed. Like, it's such a chaotic restaurant. So you need to copy out, and then you use your recipe that you copied to make your dish. That's your job as in this restaurant. Okay? And the problem is when you copy out, sometimes you might make mistakes, right? Maybe you add an additional step. Maybe 2 eggs become 3 eggs. 1 tablespoon become 2 tablespoons of sugar. And so this is representing DNA. DNA, every time the cells divide, DNA needs to be copied. So it's just like when you're the chef, you copy out the original. You may make mistakes when you make your copies. Okay, so yeah, mistakes when you're copying. And then what might happen is that the food might be disgusting. Because if you put pizza for 1 hour, then you copy out 2 hours in the oven, then it'll just be burnt, right? It's disgusting. So actually, most of the time, mistakes in DNA copying will lead to disgusting means mistakes and diseases. Like, let's say your enzyme doesn't work, then you have a disease. Let's say your eye, some tissue doesn't work properly, the photoreceptor don't work properly, then you're blind. So there's so many ways to go wrong, and there's so many ways that if you copy out a mistake, right, you can destroy your recipe. Then evolution says, according to theory, right, that sometimes these mistakes will be a lucky mistake, and it will actually make the food better. Like maybe you replace the spice with a different one, and then it makes it nicer. So the customer is like, hey, this was wrong, but I like it. It's actually better. Okay, so that's what evolution is saying, that sometimes the mistakes that we make can lead to a positive thing. Okay, so yeah, back to here. Let's say this original becomes mutated, right? Different. Okay, and it will impact the organism because you all know DNA will code for proteins. So the proteins will be different, the cell will behave differently, the organism will be different. New abilities. Okay, so this is what theory of evolution says for dolphins. Okay, we use as an example. Last time, the dolphins, they didn't have this ability to echolocate. So echolocation is like a radar system. They make these little clicks, right? And then they can send out. And that thing there, the yellow thing, is called a melon. It allows them to direct it and focus their sound waves. So it'll bounce off things like fish, a prey, and it'll come back to them, and then they're like, I think there's a fish there. Okay, so it's a very good trait, right? It's a nice ability. So last time, they didn't have that. The original dolphin ancestor didn't have this melon. Okay, so through a series of many good mistakes, copy wrong, right? But it's all very lucky one. All lucky. And then you can finally get this thing. Okay, so what is an unlucky mutation? Let's say the dolphin has, the villi in the small intestine, maybe it's shorter than normal. Then cannot absorb enough nutrients, die, right? Maybe the eye got problem, blind, cannot find food, die. Maybe the fin doesn't work as properly, cannot swim well, die. So there's so many ways to die, and there's this one, right, is like you must be extremely lucky to have all the right mutations to get here. Okay, so let's see whether this is logically probable. Okay, this melon, if you cut it open, looks like this. Do you think this just takes one gene? Probably not, right? It's like quite a large organ. And if you look inside, the anatomy is also quite intricate. Okay, there are different amounts of muscle fibers in some areas. Some got more muscles, some got less fat, more fat. Okay, then if on Wikipedia, I just found this out yesterday, it was really cool. The inner core is made of higher wax content. Outer parts conduct sound more slowly. So this refracts sound like a lens. You know, you learn the focusing, right, of the eye, the lens. So I'm not a physics expert, but I think it's rather similar. Instead of focusing light, it's focusing sound waves. So this thing is not random lump of fat, you know. I know it looks like a lump of fat, but it is like a lens and it has to have the right gradient. See, this gradient then refracts sound. Because if I take a random piece of like plastic or glass and just hold over the light, right, do you think it will like focus it nicely? Most of the time it won't, right? Like the glass must be designed properly in such a way that it can actually focus the light rays. So just like the lens in our eyes. Okay, so this thing is complex, special. It probably needs hundreds or thousands of genes for it to work. Okay, so remember this one, copying mistakes again? You're the chef. Okay, so now let's try to explain how the dolphin can come up with this new organ with the chef analogy. So you are the chef and your original recipe is to make this breakfast set. Okay, you have bread, coffee, sausage, very nice, right? Salad. And then you're going to make a series of lucky mistakes that the end result is you add scrambled eggs to your original recipe. It wasn't there last time. This is the original, but you're going to make a ton of mistakes and you're going to be so lucky that your mistakes will lead to a new thing being added to your breakfast. Okay, and so this is a simplified example of like how to make the scrambled eggs. Salt, raw eggs, butter, spices. You need to mix them with the right technique. You need to cook them, right? And then at the right time also, at the right temperature and the right duration. So you need a series of all these things, right? Okay, let's say the first mistake that you made is you added one extra step when you were copying. You added salt, okay? Add salt. So the customer will be like, why you give me this extra lump of salt for? Okay, they'll reject you. So to them, it's like, okay, this is a fail. Let's say you make another mistake now. Salt and raw eggs. Salty raw eggs. Disgusting, right? They'll say yuck. Salt, raw egg, and butter. Okay, buttery, salty raw eggs. Disgusting, right? Yuck. So the customer will keep rejecting you. Will say like, basically you'll get fired from your job, okay? Unless you have all of the mistakes at once or at really near the same time, then you will finally please the customer. They'll be like, wow, I wasn't expecting this scrambled eggs, but it's actually really nice, all these mistakes that you made. Okay, but the thing is, can you even reach to the end result of getting all these? Because by the time you do some stuff like this, right, you get fired by the restaurant already. Okay, so what the firing by the restaurant or by the customer means, that's natural selection. Okay, so natural selection will fire you if you give something that is not good. Okay, why? Because this is original dolphin, right? It can survive well, it can reproduce. So the natural selection is like, yeah, I like this one. Okay, then let's say you make one mutation. Okay, notice I'm just doing 3 mutations to get to the organ. And we know there's hundreds or thousands of genes to make the melon. So that means that you need hundreds or thousands of mutations to get there. I'm just breaking it into 3 only for simplicity. So even with 3, right, let's say you do 1 out of 3. Okay, so 1/3 of the melon is now formed, right? But that thing is useless. It's just a lump of fat. It needs the whole thing to act like a lens, then it will work, right? So this one doesn't work. It's useless. So natural selection will choose, okay, A or B. Natural selection will say A because this one is wasting energy and precious resources to fuel this lump of fat that doesn't help. So it's at a disadvantage. So selective advantage is for the original one. So it will say, okay, bye-bye, then it will die out. 2/3 of the melon, let's say lucky, and you're still able to carry on this mutation to the next generation. So now you got 2/3, it's still useless. Same problem. It will be natural selection will say, go away, get out. Unless you have all the mutations, right? Then it's finally useful. Advantages and natural selection will say, okay, based on initial one or this one, I'll choose the second one. Okay, but you notice it must jump straight here for natural selection to approve. If not, natural selection will say, get out, I want the original one. Okay, so this is what I've taught you. It's called the law of irreducible complexity. So think of a watch. A watch, right, is super complex. So many little gears and stuff, right? If I take out one gear, can it work? It'll just break, right? So every tiny piece must be there for the watch to work. If I only have 99 or 100, still cannot work. So that's what it means by irreducible. Like we need to have all these parts together at the same time. So all the necessary mutations must appear at nearly the same time, okay, or the same time. Okay, so that leads us to the second thing, which is cell complexity. How complex are our cells? Okay, let's zoom into one thing, which is DNA and ribosomes. So let me ask this poll, okay? In the timeline of evolution, theory of evolution, which came first? DNA or ribosomes? Okay, DNA, raise hand. If you think DNA, just make a guess. Okay, next, ribosomes came first. Okay, so let's play both scenarios out, right? If DNA came first, but there's no ribosomes, that means there will be no proteins that can be created, right? And then the DNA is just useless. Like it's just sitting there. So later you also see there are enzymes required to maintain the DNA, if not it will break. So this thing will soon break as well if you have no proteins to support it. Let's say you chose ribosomes, alright? Ribosome is like a factory, but it requires the instruction mRNA. mRNA comes from DNA, right? So if there's no DNA, this ribosome is sitting there it will not produce any protein because there's no instructions to even do anything. So both must be there at the same time. Then the cell can work. If not, the cell will just be static. It cannot reproduce, right? It cannot function. It won't be alive. Okay, so again, that's irreducible complexity. So just how complex is the cell? Because we've only seen two things, ribosome and protein, right? So for that, I think a video explains a million words, okay? And I will try my best to explain what is going on as we play the video. Okay, so let's watch it. Okay, that's the blood. There's receptors binding to another cell. This is the plasma membrane of a cell. Those are receptors. Okay, see the receptors are interacting. Anyway, study A-level bio, appreciate this more. I believe there is collagen forming. And it uses many different proteins to, I think 3 types of proteins. That's an enzyme. Okay, you just cut something. These are microtubules. Think of it like a skeleton within the cell. Okay, this is destruction of microtubules, just like construction works. Okay, this is how vesicles move in a cell. There's a motor protein that literally walks on the microtubules. You think vesicles just float randomly, is it? No, they are moved like that. They're transported like that. That's a mitochondria. Okay, this is the nucleus, nuclear pores. And this what? What's float? mRNA. mRNA is coming out. Okay, notice you need to do some complex stuff with enzymes first before you can even go to the ribosome. Okay, that's a ribosome. That's the protein. Okay, this is the rough ER. That's a ribosome that just attached. These are vesicles budding off, the RER. And how they move? Again, by this guy. They don't just float like randomly. Okay, that's what? Golgi body, right? They move to the Golgi body, MSP, modify, sort, and package. Okay, now they are moving up to the plasma membrane. They have fused with plasma membrane. They throw out their stuff that they made. See, the receptors also have chemical reactions that allow them to open up. That's a white blood cell. The white blood cell has detected a possible infection. So it's going in between these cells of the inner wall of the blood vessel right now. It's squeezing through. Okay, so that's how insanely complex a cell is. And I asked ChatGPT, how complex is a cell versus a watch? So just now I said, right, you take out one gear, you'll break the whole watch. If you take out one protein, you take out one gene from a cell, will you break the cell? Obviously, you break the cell, right? And so I asked ChatGPT, right, it says, a watch only does one thing. Cells do thousands of functions at the same time. So it's at least 1 million times more complex than a watch. Okay, so now last one, DNA repair mechanisms. Every day, your DNA in every cell, right, is damaged 1 million bases. So you have total 3 billion in your every nucleus, 3 billion bases. 1 million of it is damaged from, if you go out in the sun, UV destroys. Free radicals, this is just byproducts of our metabolic reactions, also destroys. Okay, and this is not even including your chef copying mistakes whenever you divide the cell. It's not even including this. So much damage, right? Then, you see, if you just have 3 to 10 genes that are damaged, this can give you cancer already. If you damage the right ones, 3 to 10 can give you cancer. So if we got so much damage, then how are we still alive? How are you still alive? It's because you got repair mechanisms, okay, that will repair your DNA when it's damaged. Okay, let's watch this one.
In the nucleus of the cells, you can find the DNA. Every day, the DNA of each cell is damaged thousands of times. If only one strand of the DNA is damaged, this can be easily repaired. PARP proteins bind to the damage and attract other proteins that repair the damage. When damaged DNA duplicates before the damage is repaired, a double-strand break can arise. In a healthy cell, this more severe damage can be repaired with the help of homologous recombination. BRCA1 protein binds the loose ends of the DNA and starts to unravel the DNA strands. Using the undamaged DNA strand as a template, the damage is then repaired. Finally,
I have another question. Which came first, DNA or the repair enzymes? Okay, I think now you're the one raising hand. You know it's a trick question, right? So if you have DNA but no repair enzymes, then very fast it will just be destroyed until... So DNA, right, is quite vulnerable. If it's not protected in a nucleus, in a cell, and with no repair enzymes, very vulnerable. And this one, if you say repair enzymes came first, but who made it? Because you need DNA to code for proteins like enzymes. So how in the world did this appear like that? Is it just random by molecules, then they randomly, all the right amino acids in the right order, then they came together and formed this enzyme? Okay, maybe, but the probability is like extremely, extremely low. So who coded for it, right? Okay, so if you want more of these answers, then you can go to this website or this YouTube channel. It's very good. They explain stuff better than me. They got PhD scientists talking about all these things and this evidence. There's thousands more arguments. Okay, so creation.com, I'm not sponsored by them, but I think it's very good. I want to summarize with all this evidence, right? Is that naturalistic explanations don't explain why life exists. What is naturalistic? Means based on the laws of physics, based on the laws of biochem, it doesn't explain how things can come about. So then you ask yourself, wait, then do we need a supernatural source where there's something that creates all this? Okay, but at this point you might be like, wait, isn't that just boomer stuff like mumbo jumbo? Like this is the 21st century, who believes in this, right? So let's say you are someone who is called an atheist. Atheist means you don't believe there's a supernatural God, right, that created things. So an atheist would believe in evolution. They will believe in the Big Bang Theory. That's how the universe came about. But if you go and research the Big Bang Theory, at the start, what's that called? Anyone knows? What's the tiny point called at the start when everything exploded from? Yes, singularity, very good. So you see the singularity, if you look at what the Big Bang Theory says, this is not what I say, it says infinite density and temperature. So this singularity is infinitely hot and infinitely dense. Okay, where the laws of physics break down and they cannot even explain this because it's smaller than an atom, right? I don't know where is it there, but it's smaller than an atom. And wait, you might be thinking, isn't an atom already as small as you can go? Like, I guess you can break an atom into like quarks and stuff, right? But then, can you get smaller than a proton or a neutron? It doesn't make sense. Like even a neutron star, which is super dense, right? You might have heard of this. Neutron stars are very dense. Like a tiny bit of it can like weigh so much. So why those kind of things can weigh so much is because the space between atoms, they minimize it in a neutron star. So that's how you can get something super dense, right? But can you get things to compress smaller than a proton? It makes no sense. Like once you take out all the space between the atoms, that's it. Like you can't compress further. So infinite density and infinite mass at less than an atom size. And actually, if you go and research, it says it's infinitely small also. So that makes no sense. Like it's a miracle, basically. The Big Bang is a miracle. It requires its own miracle. So people who don't believe in a supernatural like creation, they also have to believe that there was a miracle at the start of the universe. Okay, so there are lots of smart people like this Nobel Prize physicist strongly believes in the existence of God based on intuition, observation, logic, and scientific knowledge. Okay, and this guy's probably much smarter than me. And there's also this interview that came out, you probably recommended it, right? It's getting viral. Like this literal 200 IQ guy also believes in the existence of God. And there's a lot of people who are PhD scientists and they are not like random young people on YouTube. They're like actual scientists and they're converted to believing in God now. So what's this phenomenon, right? And then I asked ChatGPT, what is the probability of life existing without a creator? That means just by natural means, okay? And so this is what it says. Proteins forming by themselves is this chance. Okay, this is 1 in, I can't even read this number, it's too long already. 1 in a gazillion chance of proteins randomly coming together. Then fine-tuning of constants. What does this mean? Like the gravitational constant means how strong is gravity. If it's too strong, now we'll all attract, all the planets will get attracted and then we'll smash into each other and then we'll all die. If it's too weak, then all the planets will drift apart from the solar system and then we'll also all die. So the gravitational strength must be perfect. And all these other things also. So Earth's position, we are just far enough from the sun that we don't burn to death like Venus. And we're also not too far like Mars, where we'll freeze to death. So we need to be just right. Okay, so there are all these other things, and also the 24 hours rotation of the Earth. If it was slower, what will happen? If it was slower than 24 hours, then the side which is facing the sun will burn up, right? Then the side is facing away will be freezing. So it needs to be just right speed also. So there are all these things that allow life to exist. And the chance of, okay, this is just all the laws of physics. To fall into these exact numbers is this 1 in I don't know how many zeros chance. Evolution, we've discussed it, we've had the evidence against it. Okay, then total probability without a creator will be staggeringly low. They can't even give me a number because it's just too low. So I took those two numbers from earlier, remember this one and this one? And these two numbers are not even encapsulating everything. It's just a few variables that we are using here. So that means this number is actually an overestimation. In reality, you should add a lot more zeros. Okay, so this is a chance of life existing without anything to create it. So think about this, right? What is this chance like? Imagine you put all your life savings in a lottery and you only got one try because after you put, then you got no more money to put, right? And you bet against the whole world, 8 billion other people. And you say, I will win. On the first try, I bet I will win. That's what you're saying. But no, not just 8 billion others, right? You need this number of planet Earths of 8 billion people. That's how many people you're betting against. And you're saying, on the first try in this lottery, I will win. Like, how ridiculous is that, right? So that is the odds of believing that the world can come about without anything to create it. It's a very, very low chance. So I don't want to believe in that. Okay, so atheism, meaning believing that everything came about by natural forces, takes faith. It is a belief in itself. It's a very, very strong belief, right, to believe in this kind of odds. It is a religion of its own, if you think about it. So if you might be now wondering, if the chance is so low, then why do so many people believe this? Why is it taught in school? Why is it like so many scientists also agree with this theory of evolution, right? And so I think the answer is because it's scary to think of a God. Because if there's a God, that means that we did wrong things. Everyone has done wrong things, right? We call that sinning. You might say, I'm a good person though, but you thought a lot of bad things. You've probably said, that one's so ugly, that person, right? You've done a lot of bad things. Maybe when you're a child, you stole sweets. So everyone knows that we have done lots of wrong things. And we are scared of punishment. We're stuck with judgment. Okay, so what do people do? If you watch movies, the guy gets broken up by his girlfriend, what happens? Goes to the bar and drink, right? Forget about your problems. You hate your boss? Go home, binge Netflix. Transported to another world. Yeah, so people love to do it. It's a human nature thing. We forget about our problems. Okay, so what if I told you that God is not scary? What if God wasn't a scary thing that we can actually think about? Okay, so at this point, I want to ask you, is it okay if I share my own beliefs? There are lots of other beliefs on God, right? So is it okay if I share my own personal beliefs on what I think? Just not if it's yes. Okay, great. So I asked ChatGPT, if there is a God, which religion is most likely true, based on evidence? I don't care about feelings. I want evidence, hard evidence. And it says Christianity stands out due to well-documented historical evidence for Jesus Christ's life, death, and resurrection. So this is based on evidence. This is probably the legit one. Okay? And so what is Christianity about, right? Okay, Christianity in a nutshell is like that. You are this convict. You have done lots of crimes in your life and you are brought before the judges and the judges say you are wrong and it's legit. You actually made all those crimes. So now you're going to get hanged. That's your punishment. But okay, this picture is actually of a friend and the friend steps up in the courtroom and he says, I will take this guy's place. Like he will take the punishment. Even though you haven't been a nice friend to him and you're like, dude, why are you doing this? I should pay the price, right? But he's like, no, I love you and that's why I'm going to take your place. And so this friend, he actually gets sent here and he actually dies. So that's Christianity in a nutshell. Because it says that, yes, God knows all our sins, and so you know the punishment. We've seen this in movies, lots of religions. They all say the same thing, right? Hell, that's the punishment. But the thing is, okay, this is Jesus Christ on the cross, and that is the punishment that he took. So God basically sent himself to earth as a human, and he took the punishment. So now it's like, okay, the punishment has been done, right? So this guy, he can go free. And that's us. We can now go free. We can go to heaven. So that's what Christianity is about. Okay, and then you might be like, how can I claim this eternal life though? Like, how can I claim this reward? So, when I, after NS, right, they give this kind of credits, like every year, they'll just message you, oh, and we have dispersed 200 to everyone, then I'm like, okay, nice. But if I don't check the app, I will never claim the money. So it's already been bought, it's there, it's free, it's for me to use, but if I don't go in the app, I will never take it. And then it will expire one day. Okay, so that's exactly what Christianity is saying, is that God has already bought this for us. We have already, the price has already been paid. We don't need to suffer now. So all you need to do is click accept. Just say yes. So God is saying, you want it? Free. Then you just have to say, yes, I do want it. That's it. So this is from John 3:16. It says that whoever believes in him, which is Jesus, should not perish but have eternal life. So it means just say yes and you will get it for free. And then here's from another verse in John. What must we do? This is people asking when Jesus was on earth. What must we do so that we can get eternal life, right? And then Jesus says, this is the work that God wants you to do. Just believe in me. believe in Jesus because he's the one he has been sent. So it's really free. Okay, and I just want to say, yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. And there is now a Q&A time later, sorry. So if you have questions, if I didn't explain something well, if you're like, I think this part is wrong, right? Go and ask all these questions into the Slido poll. It's the same one, okay, under the Q&A side. If you're interested in more arguments, more evidences, resources are available here. If you scan this QR code, you can find more YouTube videos and they probably explain things better than me also. Multi-select. This is the free one. If you pay attention, it's free. Multi-select. Okay. Okay, so you see the last one, right? Evolved means it assumes evolution is verifiable, but it's a theory. Okay, so all those other ones are part of the theory. So, and actually they're not verifiable because we don't have a video camera for the past. Okay, only natural selection. Is this true or false? Oh dear. Okay, I said it near the start, right? And it's also in the 2024 syllabus. Oh, Megan is first. Okay, multi-select. What does stomach digest? Okay, very good. So you pay attention, you'll get these two. Multi-select again. Which parts of digestive tract absorbs nutrients? Okay, yeah, very good. You also pay attention. Okay, what is a key argument? Oh no, it's a careless mistake. This is the law of irreducible complexity. Oh, ETS now first. Okay, medium difficulty. True or false? See, natural selection is just a chooser. It just picks on what already exists. It doesn't create new genes, okay? According to theory of evolution, mutation creates new genes, but not natural selection. How many genes need to be mutated for cancer to be possible? Okay, y'all pay attention. Good, good. Okay, down double points, chance of comeback. Multi-select. Which is or are true about the Big Bang? Okay, very good. Now this one, right, singularity was actually less than one atom and it's infinitely small also. So yeah, this is too big for the Big Bang theory doesn't say that. Okay, explains the fine tuning. No, it doesn't. Because when the universe was exploded into existence, according to the Big Bang theory, right, then why is it that the gravitational constant must be this strong? Why can't it be weaker or stronger? It could. Like the laws of physics was so-called born at the instant of the Big Bang, according to the theory, right? So why is it that the laws of physics was so exact that now life can exist? So that one is not explained by the Big Bang theory. Okay, and yeah, the universe had a beginning, that's why it was a Big Bang explosion, right? It's a beginning. So blue is wrong. And also, fun fact, how we know that the universe had a beginning is because if you observe the stars, right, then over time you'll see that the stars are spreading apart when they compare the telescope pictures. It's called redshift because the fabric of the universe literally is stretching. So that's how we know last time it must have been smaller. Okay, what's the most historically verifiable event of the ancient world? Okay, yeah, it's very good. So this one, if you research Google, ask ChatGPT, you'll get an answer, right? Don't believe, just search. Okay, I think this is the last question. Double points. Double points. How many total DNA bases are there in the human body? Ooh, okay. In the human body, not just in one nucleus. So that's why human body has 40 trillion cells on average. So there must be 3 billion times 40 trillion. Okay, let's see the winners. Okay, Megan, Charlene, take note, okay? Chloe Lim. Wow, Emily Heng, right? Correct. And then, okay, Kendra and Simone also are 4th and 5th. Kendra is 4th, Simone is 5th. Very good, very good. Okay, so what is the historical proof for Jesus' life, death, and resurrection? Because isn't he just a person, just a nice guy? So if he's just a nice guy, right, then how can he resurrect from the dead? So obviously he must be something more than just a natural human. He must be supernatural. So, okay, so you're basically saying he didn't die, lah. Yeah, what if he didn't actually die, right? Okay, that's called, I think, the swoon theory. So it's a theory that Jesus, he was nailed to the cross and then he lost a lot of blood, but somehow he miraculously survived. Okay, so a lot of all these explanations, right? If you scan the resources, later I'll go back to the page again. If you scan the resources, there's this very nice video that explains the whole thing. Okay, you can search it. It's called The Case for Christ, and it talks about how he confirmed died. In one of the scientific medical journals, they publish an article, and this is a non-biased. Okay, they don't even believe in God one. This scientific journal published that Jesus, based on the historical evidence of what happened, he confirmed had died. So one evidence in the Bible is that they used a spear to poke his side, and then they saw blood come out and water come out. Okay, so this water, right, is actually the clear fluid around the lungs that accumulates when a person dies of asphyxiation, means you cannot breathe. And then, because when he's hung on the cross, right, you're in this upwards position, and then you just like, you cannot breathe, you have to keep moving to breathe, right? So he's so tired, he's been like tortured basically. So how is he going to breathe? He eventually can't, he has no energy, so he just gets suffocated. So modern science shows that if you were to look at the fluid, there will be blood, and then there will be this watery fluid around if a person dies from that. So they recorded that in the Bible and other historical texts also. So that's proof that he confirmed died, because you cannot go into that state to have that symptoms and not be dead yet. There's a dead state. There's a lot of other evidences, like the Roman, before he was crucified on the cross, he was whipped, and the Roman whipping usually can kill people because it's that severe. Like you'll cause a lot of blood loss. So he was whipped so much he could have died already. Then someone will crucify him. Like there's no way he's getting off. There's no way he's surviving that as a flesh and blood human. Okay, then this leads to another question. Why would God? I saw it just now. There was a question of why would God send himself to die as a human, right? Okay, why would God send himself become human just to send himself to die for us? Okay, so the reason for this is just now like the courtroom scene. If you need to be punished for a crime, because the judge, let's say you killed someone, then the judge is going to be like, you have to be punished. Someone has to be punished. So that's why he sends himself to die for us, so that we don't have to get punished, but instead he gets punished. Okay, so that we can go free. So that's why God has to send himself. As a human, why as a human? Because if he sends himself as God, how can you kill God? You can't. So he can't die, he can't be a sacrifice unless he's someone who is mortal, right? So that's why he came as a human. There's other reasons he came as a human, is to, like your question was, is to prove that this guy is not just a human, but he has supernatural abilities. That's why he can resurrect from the dead. Okay, so that's another reason why he came as a human. Other reasons could be so that he can show that he's a relatable God. He knows how it's like to be a human. Okay, for all those JC questions, right, your seniors will help answer later. Okay, so I'll just skip those. Okay, what's my take on which came first, the chicken or the egg? Okay, so in terms of bio, right, we had a few slides where it was about the chicken or egg question. So my take on that is simply that they were both there already. They both came at the same time because I believe that there is a God who created everything at the same time. The cell must be created at the same time with all the parts working. If it only has 99 or 100 parts, it doesn't work. So I believe all were there at the same time, okay? Okay, what about other religions? Yes, so that's a valid point. So we have to approach this logically, right? No matter what our parents taught us, no matter what my parents taught us, other religions also give, and it's another point of view. So simple, you just have to research the evidence for that religion. Okay, so research, and there's a lot of resources. Later I'll show a QR code. Actually, I think I'll show it at the side. There's a lot of good resources about that. Can you see the resources? Yeah, scan that QR code. And there's a lot of answers to that on that side. Okay, of why is it that Christianity really has the most evidence. Yeah, so if it's like, okay, let's say it's a courtroom scene, and then they say, okay, bring forth the evidence. You're saying that guy killed, right? Then you're saying, oh no, it was that person who killed that person. And then you're saying, oh, another story. Okay, bring your evidence, show. So this one, you show, oh, I have video evidence footage. Wow, that one very strong evidence, right? This one's like, oh, I have one friend. The friend say one. That one is not very good evidence. So that's how we compare the religions. Then you see, okay, I think this one has the most evidence. And yeah, that's exactly what's true. Christianity has the most evidence. Okay, then are you Protestant or Catholic? I'm Protestant. Because, again, it's due to the historical evidence of what the Protestants believe in is more accurate. Okay, is what we learn. Okay, this one, the seniors will answer. Okay, I'll let Ellen do. Okay, why not other religions? I've already explained. And in fact, if you scan the resources one, right, there's one interesting video about near-death experiences, which is something I've also learned very recently. So people who die, clinically diagnosed as this guy is dead, heartbeat, brainwave 0, and they actually come out of their body as a soul, and then they see everything around them, and they experience hell and they experience heaven. And God says, I'm sending you back. Go and tell other people what you experience. And so there's a Hindu guy who whole life never heard of Christianity, and he saw a vision of heaven. He saw exactly the same thing that in the last book called Revelation, John saw a vision of heaven, and he saw the same things. So how can you see the exact same things? And it's like the city of heaven was a square. He saw high walls. He saw 12 gates. He saw angels guarding the gates. So how is it he can see all those details exactly the same as the book of Revelation, even though he didn't even, he wasn't even a Christian. He never read any of these things. So that made him change his faith. He went and changed to Christianity after that. Okay, then Islam also, there is Muslim testimonies of what they saw as well. So why is it that there's this conversion towards a certain religion instead of away to another religion? Right, so what is the best explanation? The best explanation is probably because it's true. Okay, and then any more questions? Well, I was expecting more bio questions. Are you Christian? Yes. Are you planning to work after uni, like application? Okay, this one, right, in the Ask Me Anything you ask. All right, this one, save it for later. In the Ask Me Anything. Any more? How does schizophrenia allow someone to have auditory and visual hallucinations? Okay, I'm not very sure of this, but maybe you can expand on the question. Anyone here? You can raise hand if it's you who want to ask more about it. No? Okay, what is this? How do theories get its name, the Big Bang? Because I guess it was a big explosion. That's why I called it. Where did Jewish people come from? They came from this ancestor called Abraham. And then Abraham, he had a lot of children, and the children had children. Yeah, that's called the nation of the Jews. Why they get bullied? Wow. Okay, I actually have no idea. But okay, what's the difference, right, between Jewish beliefs and Christian beliefs? What's the difference? Jews, right, they believe that the Messiah, that means the sacrifice who's going to come to be punished in our place, right, hasn't come yet. They believe that the guy hasn't come yet. But Christians believe he already came, and that's Jesus. Okay, why would they put so much effort to create the universe, yet be petty enough to condemn those who do not believe in him? Why petty enough to condemn? Okay, so this is a take on, we are saying that God is like, this bully, and then go and like, y'all do wrong, right, so I must punish you. But actually, think about it the other way. Okay, so if I love my fiancée, and she doesn't love me back, okay, let's say I'm pursuing this woman, let's say we're not fiancé yet, okay, and then I love her, and I say, hey, I want to marry you, it's going to be a great life with me. Like, I am hardworking, I am smart, I can provide for you. But she says, I don't want you. Even though you're good, right? But she says, I don't want you. I want to do my own thing. I want to run away with this, like, delinquent guy. So if she wants that, I'm a gentleman. I cannot say, you must marry me, right? I cannot force her to marry me. So that's exactly what condemning, it's not really condemning. It's more like, okay, God is like, you don't want to be with me, right? So I'll let you do what you want. Okay, and that's exactly what hell is. It's a place where people can do what they want. Yeah. And what is what they want? What they want is the worst of humanity. The worst of humanity with no laws and no regulations will be unleashed. And that's why hell is what hell is. So God is a gentleman, he doesn't force people. And that's why it's not about being petty to condemn. It's more like, I'm a gentleman, I cannot force you to love me, so you do what you want. Yeah. Okay, what's the proof that Jesus is God? Why can't he have just been a human who died? Because a human who died cannot resurrect themselves. That's the answer. Yeah, so that, along with all the other miracles he did, again, there's a lot of historical evidence. You know, people say that, hey, the Bible is biased, what? The Bible wants to promote an agenda. So, of course, the Bible is going to say, this is what happened. Jesus resurrected from the dead. But there's other historical evidences, like there's this historian called Josephus during that time who wrote a lot about that event. And he talked about this guy called Jesus who was crucified and who later he was around again and talking to people. So non-biased historical sources are also saying this. Okay, so that's further evidence. Okay, if God exists, do ghosts exist and Satan? Ghosts means souls who haven't left the earth, right? Okay, so based on the near-death experiences, the people, they all went to a place. They either went to heaven or to hell when they had those experiences. So ghosts means the souls are here. No, it doesn't exist. The souls will go somewhere. So ghosts don't exist, but do demons exist? Yes. And according to Christianity, demons are angels who decided, I don't want you anymore, God. I want to do my own stuff. So he's a gentleman, and he said, okay, demons, you want to do your own thing, right? All right, I'll let you do your own thing. So they just went out. And so they are just rebels. Okay, so yeah, is Satan real? Yes, he's also an angel. In fact, he was a very powerful angel. Okay, then I saw another one. Was I a Christian since young? Yes and no. Although my family was a Christian, so supposedly Christian family, but I think some of you know already that like my father was quite abusive, and our families, my parents are divorced. So I did not have a good view of Christianity. They didn't live it out basically. And I also was quite a naughty kid. Okay, so I don't think I was Christian last time. And I also believe in evolution because I was in your shoes and I was taught it in school. So then I went to research and I was like, I've been scammed this whole time. Okay, that's exactly why I'm sharing all this with you, because I realized that I was scammed also. Okay, do I believe in tribulation? I think that is about the end days, the end times. I believe in it, but I don't have enough expertise to talk about it. So I feel like tribulation, this thing, right, is not a very important thing. What's more important is where do our soul go when we die. I think that's more important. Who created God? God cannot be created because he's already there. He's eternal. He was always there. Okay, so there's this concept called aseity, if you search it. It means like he can exist by himself. He don't need someone to create him. Okay, so if someone created God, then he's not God, right? Whoever created him is God, right? Yeah, so that's why the ultimate first one must be God, must be eternal and cannot be created. If not, he's not God anymore. Okay, if you don't believe in Christianity and you sin, what will happen? Why still be subjected to the Christian afterlife? If you don't believe, means you're basically telling God, I don't want to deal with you, like just let me be. So God will say, okay, I'll let you be, I'm a gentleman. So I'll put you in a place where all the other people also say, leave me alone, which is hell, which is called hell. And so the good news is that all those near-death experiences, right, there's one guy who's an atheist and he's a professor in a university. And he died, he went to hospital, they pronounced him clinically dead. Then he experienced hell. He experienced other people like him who, when there's no laws holding people back, they just do whatever they want. Okay, then he was basically brutally abused by them, by those other people. And then he never heard of Christianity. He just called out, God, help me please, like something like that, you know. Then he was saying things like, God bless America, because he don't know how to pray. Then he was saved. He saw a being of light, which was God, and God picked him up and brought him to heaven. And so he was saved. So like, wait, what was that question that I was answering? I think it got shifted up. Oh yeah, okay, it was this one. So why I'm telling you that is because I think even the worst people, or people who really like, because he was a hater basically. He was a hater of Christianity. So such a person, God is so merciful to even say that, okay, I'll give you a chance. You know, and he came back to life. He was resuscitated. And then he completely changed. He became like a pastor, actually. He quit his job and became a pastor. So although this consequence of not believing is very big, but I think God is extremely nice. And he allows you to have a lot of chance. Yeah? Who is resurrected? Oh, he came back to life. Okay. So he's not resurrected in the same way. Jesus, when he was resurrected, he became not a mortal anymore. Like in the Bible, like it says like he can appear somewhere and then he appear another place. Not really a ghost. Think of like an angel, something like an angel. Yeah, so he has powers like an angel. He was no longer a mortal. But these people who come back from the near-death experiences, you can scan the QR code. It has some YouTube videos on that. These people they're just human. They can die again. Yeah, they are not immortal. Okay, last question. Thoughts on Buddhism? I think it's a very nice way of life, though based on the evidence, nothing is as strong as Christianity based on the evidence. When did I become a Christian? I think in secondary school, like maybe your age or a little bit younger, then I became serious about these things. My friend told me that God gives them eternal life if they don't sin, but why would someone want this eternal life? If you only have two options, right? Let's say you can, after O-levels, you can enter only two schools. One is RJC. The other one is like, I don't know, let's imagine a very, very horrible school that you can enter. Okay, you only have these two options. Then you must choose the good one, right? If you only have two options and you must choose one, then obviously I'll choose the good one. So that's why. Okay, so a lot of these are my own beliefs, and you are not obliged to agree with them, okay? But just to let you know, I came up with these beliefs based on a lot of researching, finding logic, finding evidence, then I believe in these things. Okay, so thank you so much for this. I was expecting a lot more bio questions, but it's okay. So now let's have the seniors Q&A.